Okay, let's welcome Bobby Ghosh home to Delhi. Thank you. One question that might be of interest that Bobby and I have talked about a lot over the years is what's it like for an Indian to be covering this war representing what is probably America's most iconic magazine. How does that shake out for you?
Well, it's terrific because they like Indians in Iraq. A lot of Iraqis don't like Americans, but by and large they like Indians. And it's been it's one of the few countries in the world where having an Indian passport is a huge asset. And it's been my entree into people's homes, into their lives. They talk to me a little more freely, I think, because they sense I'm a person from the East. We have plenty in common culturally. And on several occasions, it has saved my life. I think I've told you the story. A few months ago, we were in the streets of Baghdad with our bureau manager and lead translator and myself. A couple of cars scream up, armed men jump out of them with guns, and they start hitting us with the butts of the guns and trying to push us into the car. And it was obviously a kidnap attempt. And the manager started shouting at them saying, "What is wrong with you people? You want to kidnap an Indian? Do you know how poor India is?" And that is what saved my life. And they saw the sense in what he was saying, and they said, "Oh, he's Indian. Oh, okay, no problem. Move on."
Now, you've been back in the U.S. for a little while, and you've had a chance to do some reporting in the States. Do you sense any shift in attitude or thought among U.S. policymakers, or for that matter, do you feel any shift on the ground from the policy when you're back in Iraq?
Well, I think there is now finally some understanding that this was a huge, that the planning for the war went fine, but there was no planning for the peace. And the administration still can't bring itself to fully acknowledge this, but people at the fringes of the decision-making process are beginning to say it. They're beginning to say, yes, we were wrong, we should have done things differently. And in fact, they're saying, we had plenty of warning, there were lots of people who were showing us the right way, we weren't paying attention to them for whatever reasons. My sense, though, is that this mea culpa comes rather late in the day. I mean, if they'd been more realistic in their understanding of the situation, let's say 2 years ago, if the surge had begun 2.5 years ago, I think there was a real chance that it could have nipped a lot of things in the bud before that happened, a lot of the violence. Unfortunately, at this stage, it's a bit late. And now, sort of the demons that have been unleashed have to play themselves out and exhaust themselves before Iraq can regenerate.
My next question could actually apply to some of the people in the audience. It's a business question, because this is the first large war that's relied on substantial outsourcing in the combat theater. This is a private enterprise war in some large measures. Recently, that's become very controversial, but it's been there the whole time. So what's been your view of that from the beginning and now that, what's the view from the ground of the outsourcing issue and mercenary issue?
It's become big news in the U.S. now because of the Blackwater incident. But for Iraqis, it hasn't been news. I mean, it was a couple of weeks after the fall of Saddam Hussein that I was personally at the receiving end of a beating from some Blackwater folks because they thought I was Iraqi, and I was with a group of Iraqis, and they were beating everybody in that group. From the get-go, these private security firms have operated in a sort of independently of the U.S. military, have been a law unto themselves. But they have done this without recognizing that their actions have a direct bearing on Iraqis' attitudes towards the United States. The military has until recently distanced itself from these people by saying, well, they're private security. We got nothing to do with these people. But Iraqis don't care. Iraqis see a foreigner with a gun wearing some sort of uniform, and in their mind, that's the same thing as an American military. It doesn't matter if that is a mercenary from South Africa or from Belgium or a former American commando who's now gone private. They see them as Americans. And a lot of the resentment early on that built up in Baghdad and in the West was resentment that was originally directed towards these mercenaries and then sort of grew and became a larger anti-Western, anti-American sensibility. And that has taken root, and it's going to be very difficult to pull that out.